last year's UNDESA Awards event, we have had the pleasure on behalf of our institution, Regional School of Public Administration, to present the study that has been devoted exactly to the state-of-the-art in the domain of ICT and e-government sector. In that sense, I will not recall on the data that have been already presented in the course of the last year event, but this publication can be downloaded on our website, and we are trying to update it very soon. Unlike the other colleagues who have stipulated and underlined many of the best practices that we have just learned upon, I will not focus so much on the best practices because understanding the challenges in the Western Balkans is also understanding the challenges that are being present in the whole world. One of the first premises is the eternal question why e-government is needed and what is its purpose. That is how we can or how we should invest in the clouds, and shall we or shall we not devote ourselves to the user-centric approach, personal and proactive services, as well as new channels and digital divide, as mentioned, open data and data analytics. So we are all aware about the emerging problems throughout the world, which is definitely food, water and nutrition insecurity, climate change, energy crunch, job pressure, rapidly changing of demographics, especially immigration, conflict and violence, governance, and at all levels. My institution is actually being founded by 7 countries of the Western Balkans and the European Commission, and our idea was actually to confront and to respond to the post-conflict time. You know that the Western Balkans have been for quite long in the civil war, and the reconciliation and peace building needed to be dealt on, and this is very much similar to the other parts of the world. Apart from this, we do share a common cultural and traditional heritage, but also there are many differences in terms of religious, in terms of the languages spoken, and in terms of different types of public administration, institutional setup, and also the e-government. Our institution actually wanted to underpin one of the sustainable approaches, that is to support regional initiative, and by this to identify common problems and common challenges, and hopefully respond with a common solution. So we are having many of the ideas, but more importantly is to just also highlight what are the weaknesses that we have also understood. It is definitely low understanding still present in the Western Balkan countries that this public administration institution in terms of why e-government is needed, and we are still confronting the problems in terms of stereotypic thinking. What it is really, is it software, hardware, or is it much more than that? And we can try to learn from the developing countries such as Korea, France, and other European countries. We are also learning quite a lot from Denmark, and many experts such as Jeremy Miller who are being present here are the ones that we are communicating very intensively with. In that sense, we've been trying also to support the national sustainable development strategies in order to respond to the needs. Very recently, we have had an unfortunate situation that the big floods have actually happened in Bosnia and Herzegovina, Croatia, and Serbia. And what has been the consequence? The consequence is actually that we didn't hear a lot about the challenge of cloud computing, despite the fact that we have analyzed its importance. There has been a big rejection from the institutional point of view for the adequate and prompt change. In Serbia, the project on cloud computing has begun, and it has consolidated most of the data, but unfortunately it wasn't finished on all levels. In this particular case, as you can see, the picture is coming from the municipality of Obrenovac, which is not far away from the capital of Belgrade, which did not have saved the data on the national server. For that sake, the data has been lost, and this tremendous loss cannot be regenerated. So this is a big message for all of us, not only in Serbia but also in Western Balkans, how actually to overcome for the future. And we've been thinking that this natural disaster management threatens not using of geographical information systems, neither having adequate preparatory systems for such situations, is to use it as opportunity and transform this current weakness. So to proudly offer a cloud for all public administration institutions in the Western Balkans, and we hope we will have political understanding and devotion to this type of challenge and also opportunity. As for this user-centric approach, we do have unfortunately only one of the recent examples in Macedonia, which is quite new, where actually the tax administration is enabling the citizens to approach their data and to deal with data interactively, which is not the system in other countries of the Western Balkans. Mobile and social media is something that is probably to come at the very end of the development of e-government in the Western Balkans. So I may say that we are trying to simulate this aspect, but it is not in place to the extent as it has been explained today, and we have seen the UNDESA findings about Europe. The countries of the Western Balkans are one of the last on the lists. As for the open data participation, as mentioned before, Serbia has launched the portal of e-government. It is devoted to the 20 line ministries, and it is still in progress. So we do hope that in the future this will also enable citizens' participation in decision making. Vendor lock-in or vendor lock-out is something that is very tricky to comment, but that has been also part of the communication and discussion among our members. I may say that RESPA has initiated a regional network for e-government, which lasts for almost 3 years, and those members are assistant ministers, deputies, state secretaries who are intensively working not only on operational but also on strategic level. And in that sense, we have discussed about this issue a lot. Their main challenge was actually how to make equilibrium between purchased softwares and so the licenses and the ones that can be made by institutions themselves. So this balance is something that is being put ahead, and it's going to be commented very soon. Government as an innovator, Albania is one of the examples in the Western Balkans that has actually outsourced its IT services in the domain of tax administration office. And we do consider this as an element of PPP and also much more in that respect. What I would also like to say at the very end is that RESPA is, as we discussed very much today, what are the precursors of development of e-government. We also understood through this network that we need to confront or to contribute to fight against corruption. And in that sense, we have already launched a regional comparative study devoted to IT corruption, which means that we will detect what are the corruption risks that need to be highlighted in order to be overcome in the future. The final output of this study, which is expected to be finalized in September this year, is a set of guidelines that will be offered to the Western Balkan countries and respective ministries. For that sake, we will be also organizing a ministerial conference in one of the Western Balkan countries, where we will explain to the ministers the state of the art, the findings, and hopefully we will get their appreciation and also finally endorsement for such things. What is still big and huge problem for us, but I believe for all of you present here and others throughout the world, is actually how to engage the politicians, decision makers in this process. We've heard from some of the colleagues in the previous PowerPoint presentations that top-down approach is something that can usually bring the success in each of the initiatives. But it's not every time present approach, because we do believe in sustainable development, so bottom-up to top-down approach should be combined, participatory and aspect also. In that sense, I would raise the question for all of you also today here, how actually, what is according to your experience, what is according to your knowledge and best practices, the recipe, the formula to engage, to convince, to motivate, to attract the politicians, the decision makers, to listen, to learn, to understand, but also to endorse. Because whatever we are going to do, no matter how many of the publications or lessons learned or findings or events to be organized, we will not make a push forward if this is not being materialized, if this is not being put in practice. So what we are trying to do now in the Western Balkans is actually to test this, and we will be more than glad to share with you this first experience of ours in this particular area, which we do hope will have final effect in October this year. But today, if there is a possibility, I would really like to learn also from your side what can be the magic path towards getting the politicians on board and making the things become true and reality. Thank you.